support the referendum. So I think that this is one of the things that we need to keep in mind, that the working class people participated, but it could have a more important participation if we would arrive in another context from a leftist perspective to the referendum, and people would understand the referendum clearly as something that was disrupting the previous regime of power that was coming from the transition. The second weakness is that we are not totally sure if the Catalan neoliberal government really want to proclaim a republic, or they were just trying to get a better position to negotiate with the Spanish state. As the Spanish state has this anti-democratic nature, they never try to negotiate with the Catalan bourgeoisie, and they just try to rule by force, and then forced the Catalan bourgeoisie to keep going because the Spaniards never were doing any offer to negotiation to reach a better economic agreement. That was what the Catalan bourgeoisie was searching. But these two weaknesses, to arrive with austerity policies and have a government that really want to proclaim the republic and to control the territory, which means have a public bank, to have the capacity to create money, fiscal policy, and so on, and nationalize the main infrastructures, ports, airports, railways, highways. That would give us the opportunity to control the territory, and then the Spaniards wouldn't have suspended the Catalan autonomy and ruled by force. So I think these are two important lessons that we need to keep in mind. I don't know if I'm speaking. Okay, I'm going to try to be shorter now. Okay, about CUP and what are our political priorities, right? So as we said, we are defending self-organization because it has been all the time the mobilization of people that has forced the institutions. Obviously, we are an institutional force, but not only an institutional force. We are part of the independentist leftist movement, and I think that the key for this was to have one feet in the parliament and the other one on the street, because we were forcing through mobilization the government to keep going and doing more steps on the declaration of independence. And that was very important because the 6th and 7th of September, before the 1st of October, the Catalan parliament passed two laws that were key in order to break with the Spanish legislation. One, which was the law of self-determination. So the Catalan parliament said that the Catalans had the right to self-determine themselves. And obviously the Spanish Constitutional Court tried to abolish that, but we decided to disobey them. And then the laws of transition to a Catalan republic. So we created a new legal framework saying that we were going to disobey Spanish legislation, and from that moment onwards we were going to be only under the legislation of the Catalan parliament. And I think that that was very important, because without that legitimacy of the institutions, probably the Catalan population wouldn't arrive to that level of mobilization and to force the situation. So I think that these two things are very important and we need to keep it in mind. Okay. So it was the mobilization of people what repelled the Spanish paramilitary police that were trying to avoid the referendum. So this self-organization. But also one of the tactics of the extreme right, and I'm sure that the British state will try to do it here, is to divide the population between those who speak Catalan at home and those who speak Spanish at home. And that was all the time their style, saying that those who were supporting the Catalan independence were supremacists, racists, and things like that. And they tried all the time to create that division between those people who read themselves as Catalan and those who read themselves as Spanish. And I think that we tried to organize the committees to defend the Republic in a very wide, open and inclusive way in order to disarticulate the discourse of the Spanish state to divide the communities and to avoid the capacity of the referendum and to mobilize all the population to vote for a new political regime. And that discourse helped that the dock workers, which made one of the most important things that allowed the referendum to happen, that they, even most of them are from a Spanish background, they decided to don't support the vessels of the police that were in the Barcelona port in order to attack the population, the paramilitary police. So the dock workers trade union said that they were not going to help the Spanish police vessels. So, and I think that was like a breaking point, and everyone started, all the working class movement started to join the position of a referendum to break with the previous regime of power. And then the firemen, the farmers, and many other sectors started to defend the referendum and think that what the Spanish state was doing, it was just a coup d'etat and a military occupation of Catalonia, and that